Kaiser.
Hey, what's up, Franklin? How you doing?
I'm all right, brother.
Yeah. So, okay, in this end, no, I do think the UK will keep its end of the bargain. However, the issue here is the contract law, right? Let me explain what I
Right.
mean.
Talk to me.
They didn't say that we're going to give you amnesty for all future things and other people who might try to come after you. Here's a problem. You go there, they register your name, they take your fingerprints, of course, they'll take your DNA. So once they already have your DNA, what they're going to do, of course, is they're going to systematize it. They're going to put your DNA into a system, into a medical information system. They didn't say we're not going to share this information with any other groups. They just say we are not going to come for you. How they're going to do it, this is how they do it, right? To break contract law is simple. You just find the loopholes. The loopholes are so many in what they've said. I've not read the contract itself, but all they have to do is they say, okay, we won't come for you. That's true. They won't. What they'll do is they'll give that information to another UK organization that will then come for them. They don't have to do it themselves. That's the thing. That's how the UK works. It's different organizations have different rules so that someone else can come for you, but it's not the original person. So what happens is you go there, you get registered, they give you your jab on your hand or whatever. They have to take information, your name, your age, your date of birth, where you're from, all of this information. They will register it into a piece of document, or actually, they are planning to try out this new technology. It's something which I worked on my PhD. It's this radio RFID chip, the radio frequency infrared chip. I'm not saying they're going to try out now, but the information that they take, they will be able to put it onto that kind of system. This is just testing out things that they have already got in check. The technology already exists. It's one of the things I worked on. And all I'm saying here is these people have to be careful, as in don't do it. Unless you're like 75 years old, whereby you are at risk and you consider, the statistics. For example, I think our brothers and sisters, we look at this realistically. The chances of you getting sick from getting COVID and it being fatal, if you are under 40 years old, is less than 0.02%. I've looked at the numbers on the world statistics. It's not hidden, it's just there. If you're under 40, it's less than 0.2%. If you're under 18, it's 0.02%. So everyone is not equally likely to suffer the consequences. If you're also a woman, for example, you are also statistically less likely to also die from this disease. The fatality rate for men is higher, 60%, compared to women is 40%. So we have to look at this realistically. If you're a young guy, you're under 50, there's no reason why you should be going around trying to be worrying about one disease. There's malaria, there is typhoid, there's so many things that kill people every year. In fact, last year, malaria killed more people in the world than this thing did. I'm not saying it's not a bad thing. It is a real thing. It is affecting people's lives, but it's not even twice as bad as the flu, meaning it is not a problem for the whole world to be going through this kind of issue like this. It's people in power. I'm guessing it's the people of the older generation. They're trying to protect themselves. That's why they ruined the whole world economy to even... The movements that they made here made no sense. If you really wanted to protect people, all you have to do is say this, right? We will make anyone who's over the age of 60 who wants to self-isolate. Everybody else who wants to work can work. There's nothing wrong there. It builds immunity without having to wait for some vaccine that has not been tested. The FDA, the controls for immunizations and drugs, requires you to at least go through 6-7 years, realistically 10 on average, of testing. This has gone testing for 10 months. 10 months, and with new strains and variations coming out. It's not going to be effective. That's one. B, we don't know if it's even safe. They're trying out this new technology using genetic kind of coding. It's just not safe because it's not been tested. This is no conspiracy theory. It's just not safe. And in terms of the undocumented immigrants, I would not suggest you go in there unless you're 80 and you have underlying health conditions and etc. I would just leave it, because even I, as someone with the documentation, wouldn't go there to get this vaccine. So there's no way I would recommend someone who is at risk of losing their livelihood from going somewhere.
Let me ask you, Kaiser, let me ask you a question. Thank you for that, man. That's powerful contribution. Let me ask you a question, bro. So, I mean, I know what the possibilities are. This is just me thinking. If the government then go back to their war room, they go back to their drawing board, and then they realize that the uptake of this vaccination is not hitting the levels that they want, right?
Yeah.
And then they then decide, because with all this ongoing lockdown after lockdown, it has a major effect on people's mental health. I'm sure you'd agree. So if
100%.
they then
Yeah.
decide to do this compliance ring fencing, whereby they know that, okay, they look at it this way and say, okay, these people are not they're not taking up these things, but we would like you know, more people to take this up or something like that. And then they say, okay, boom, we wake up tomorrow morning. In order for you to get on the air on the airplanes, you've got to show some kind of, because there's something on the news about a week or so ago where the ex-British Prime Minister Tony Blair, right? He came out with this announcement, and all this thing, just like you follow the events as well. I don't, you know,
Right.
these people don't make mistakes. It's not, they don't say things just because they want to. He came into the public domain and said, oh, he thinks the government should give consideration to people having like some kind of a passport for the pandemic, COVID passport. And what that means is, so this is what I'm saying, the compliance ring fencing, if they come out with that, whereby, oh, okay, because they know, like what you said just now, a huge number of people are going to lean back and they're not going to come forward. Yeah?
Yeah.
They're not going to, because they know, because the problem now is the government doesn't want anarchy and all this. People are already going out in numbers and sort of protesting and stuff on the grounds of human rights. The police are doing their best to contain other small groups. And I'm looking at it like people might reach a breaking point whereby there will be a siege or something. So if they then say, we can't get on the plane if you want to go into a bank, you've got to show, you want to go into a restaurant, whereby all this thing is now digitalized. Your passport will be something maybe they can scan and verify. Are you up to date? Are you vaccinated or not? Do you have this? So at that point, and I'm talking hypothetically here, what do you think is going to happen? Are people going to be forced to then go ahead and do it or not?
Right. So it's not as hypothetical as you said. Actually, they already have the technology in check. So, like I said, for my work, I was working on the radio frequency infrared chip. You can actually print them onto anything. You can print them onto your skin, onto clothes, onto plastic. You could basically embed it into any material. And what happens is you can use a technology called thermoelectric energy, which is basically an energy that converts heat energy into electrical energy. So the difference between your body temperature, which is like 37 degrees, and the environment, especially in the UK, is like less than that. All the time is less than that. And right now it's like 0. So that's a huge energy difference. That's what's going to be powering these things. So they're going to be self-sustained powered electronic devices that are going, they're already testing them out on different places. They work really well now. You can store loads of information. And yes, that's exactly what the next step is. This is a perfect opportunity for them to now en masse convince people to take this on. But here's part of the issue. This is how they're going to really do it. Now, you know about the universal credit they have in the UK. And for people who don't know, it's like a welfare system whereby they'll give you some, change to stay alive. What they'll do next is they'll change the rules for compliance of getting it. If you want to continue getting your universal credit or this new thing they're developing, universal basic income, you have to follow all these rules and regulations that we've created. You have to get your vaccine every 6 months. You have to follow this and that. If you don't follow it, you either lose a big chunk or you lose all of it. I don't know how they're going to structure the contract, but that is 100% the next step that they're going to do. So in terms of the passport thing, I think there's going to be some human rights people are going to say, well, no, as long as we show that we don't have the virus, we can travel. But what they'll do is they'll make it so difficult that many people will just say, I can't take this hassle of having to prove I have to vaccinate or, take the test, the swab test and all these things. So many people at that point, especially the businessmen and the businesswomen, they're going to start thinking, okay, I don't want to take this hassle. Let me just take this vaccination. At least it will free me from all of this kind of inconvenience. And yes, unfortunately, at that point, many people will start to take it. But I also think that there's going to be enough people on the other side who are going to push back, because there is a significant number of people who don't want to be controlled, because the whole point here is we will be controlling your behavior because we have information about everything. I mean, this new technology will have your GPS tracking system. I don't know if they will turn it on. They'll tell you that they're not, but you can't really trust anything. The technology will have that option. So you can't just go around there being nilly-willy thinking, this is safe. So ultimately, yes, I project maybe within 2 years' time. This is nothing to do with conspiracy. I mean, these are all technology that I worked in for my PhD. It already exists. Now they're just thinking of how to implement.
Let me ask you, what's your PhD about?
Oh, right, plastic electronic materials. So it was converting waste plastics into electronic devices, and working on printing technologies and carbon nanotubes, graphenes. This type of technology, use it for batteries, for electronic energy storage, solar cells technology, renewable energy, all of that kind of stuff, and information technology. So you can use these plastics to store data, and that's basically what they're going to be using. And in terms of, I think someone says there's no conspiracy, right? I don't deal with that whole conspiracy thing. I only deal with the facts. There's an interpretation there. That's why I say maybe, maybe not, but I definitely don't go down that route of conspiracy. So usually, for example,
Can I just say something quickly? Can I just say something quickly before you carry on? You see, I'm thoroughly aware of conspiracy, theory and what that means. It's also, it's a severely bastardized term, whereby when people are too lazy to indulge in critical thinking, right? And that's not to say everything that every other person is saying, oh, it's definitely 100% correct. But for the most part, when people are too lazy to indulge and go deep into critical thinking and connecting the dots, they just whip out that term to say, oh, conspiracy theorist. We should also be very, that's why we've got this white meat sitting bang in the middle, right inside our skull. So it's there to be used. You're allowed to go deep into it free of charge. So just because you don't understand something, or you don't necessarily have to agree with me or Kaiser or anyone else, but don't be quick to say conspiracy theorists. One thing that I support is, if somebody's articulating themselves and saying something, feel free to ask them, critical questions. That we are here to learn. Nobody's an epitome of knowledge, right? If Kaiser tells me something, I might just put it across to him and say, hold on, bro, how did you come about that? Do you have a source? Why is this? That's, you see me asking him questions about his PhD and things like that. That's what it's about. But stop just plastering everything. Oh yeah, conspiracy theorist. Actually, if I'm correct, I think in the United States, the term conspiracy theory was coined when JF Kennedy was assassinated by the FBI, if I'm correct. So, and the only reason why they coined that term was because they desperately wanted to discredit and bring to an end people that were using their brain, that were connecting the dots, that in fact it was the state that might have been, allegedly behind the assassination of JF Kennedy. So now that term found its way into the wider population, and it's gone like Chinese whisper over the years. So most people just say, oh, conspiracy theory. Why are you saying it?
Most people don't know what that word even means, because first, conspiracies exist, right? A conspiracy is simply when two people or more come together and they plan something. That's it. This happens every day. Hundreds of people come together, they plan something. Sometimes they plan good things, sometimes they plan bad things. When it's a bad thing they plan, you could call it like a conspiracy to do bad things. This happens every day. Governments do it. People, your friends, your family members. Like Frankleen's talked about this 100 times on the channel. You've been working, slaving up 5 years, saving up, sending money every month to your family to build a house. They come, they have a family meeting, they conspire to steal your house. That is all a conspiracy. Conspiracy theories. It's a theory of a conspiracy to do something. This whole thing with the lizards and all that stuff, that's just there to confuse people so that they are not critical about what they're hearing. There is nothing wrong with conspiracy theory when you look at it logically. It's a conspiracy. That's all it is. Conspiracies happen every day. So for everyone, check out You can do a simple Google search what it is. Radio frequency infrared technology. That's what they're going to be using to store this data and information. The technology is there. It's been there for years. You can check out thermoelectric materials. This is how they're going to power these kind of devices. And in terms of where am I getting the ideas where they're going to be doing this? Well, we moved from gold standard standard economic systems. Now we're moving to digital standard economic systems. This is not, again, it's not it's just fact moving from one place to the next. It's eventually going there because they want more control. They know exactly who's sending what money, who's doing this. Everything is going to be digitized. I just explained some of the methods of the digitization. So yeah, and in terms of but in terms of the undocumented people, I would definitely not recommend any of them turning up. I mean, that's just saying, hey, take my details. Then they'll give their details to another organization somewhere else who will come at middle of the night knocking at their house, and giving them all sorts of traumatic experiences. It's not a good experience. Exactly. And like you said, Phrankleen, the UK, what they've got an interesting system, right? If you notice that there's corruption that happens here, but it's not because they can't not have corruption, it's because the system allows for corruption, meaning they purposely make sure each government department doesn't know what the other one is doing so that they can leak information, and there is no like, oh, you did this, you gave it, we know this. So like they said, this has to be really clear on the contract. Which amnesty is it amnesty for? Is it the whole UK government, including every single this and the mercenaries this? Or is it, oh, the immigration won't come for you? Oh, but then the other group over there, the data, for example, the tax collectors, right? They're the ones who are going to come for you, saying, you've been living here for X years, you didn't pay this amount of tax. We're going to put you and deport you for committing a crime. Then we'll put you into this for fraud, and then they'll deport you. There are so many ways that they're going to catch you out here. So unless you are literally a 75-year-old man or woman who has diabetes and heart disease, and you feel truly that this is worth the risk of putting yourself forward, I would not recommend it.